Hey, what you about to see is spit. Fire from the deepest thought. Mind stimuli, wrought with the sweetest sound to caress the air. Brilliancy to bring what is blurry clear. Unhindered by selling points. Delving into the emotions that be. With these here stellar joints, see, we poets. Teller of the final times. Architect of these new rhyme designs. Manipulator of the unchallenged minds.
How did I become a deaf poet? I was asked.
I heard about it through the grapevine.
The whole sole goal was like, okay, I'm gonna get on a deaf poetry jam.
I hooked up with Russell Simmons.
We came and you know, sat in the front row and I spat all over him.
He saw me and I guess he liked what he saw.
This is poetry, you know, this is a piece of art. And yet I think that there's a chance to develop careers like we did in comedy. A chance to expose a piece of culture that's not being exposed properly, and a chance to inspire artists to write more important, meaningful lyrics. When Black Ice came along, he said something that was special, you know. I saw him at a Deaf Poetry Slam, you know, and it was instant when we saw him. The next day I signed him.
On corner auction blocks, lost flocks of brethren, now invested in by this America with stocks of cocaine. Temporary monetary gain in exchange for eternal pain.
Why Black Ice?
Black ice, well, you know, the weather term, of course, is, you know, when the ground looks wet, but it's actually frozen, but you don't find out about it until you slip up on it. So basically, when I stepped on the scene back 93, 94, because I dress the way I do, and, you know, like spoken word, the scene had a certain look and a feel to it. And when I came into the scene, it was like I had a mainstream look, so they didn't know what to expect out of me. And I guess my name would just, it symbolizes that when I get on stage, you really don't know what I'm gonna do. I may show up with camouflage on and do all love poetry. Back in 93, 94, Buttermilk, it was one of the most popular sets down in Philly. So I went down there and I just fell in love, you know, with just the free expression and the camaraderie and the peacefulness of the whole set. And I didn't really, like, they really pushed me to get on stage. Like, I went home and it inspired me to get back into my writing.
Knowing that father does not answer when they holler due to his undying infatuation with a dollar. Has been street scholar, now sees his toddlers through glass. And as the years pass, they grow fast and begin to understand, damn, Dad didn't have to go away from us because he didn't love us, just that he wasn't no real fucking man.
They're free thinkers, first of all. They're artists, and mostly artists are made to shut up.
I am the serpentor of thee. I am the divine deepness of all the great deeps before me.
Please don't Barbara Walters me.
Okay.
If I cry, just let it be because I'm crying, not because you induce crying. Just be friends. Okay?
Bro,
I'm not trying to touch you too much. I know. I'm not. No, I'm not.
Just talk to me, man. Talk to me, please. Now, how long you been doing poetry?
Since I was 15.
Really? I know that being an African American has influenced my poetry. So
it's one of those. Huh?
It's one of those.
Yeah.
How has being Asian American influenced your poetry?
Wow, that's.
Or being from Oklahoma?
Tough. A lot of my influences, writing-wise, has been non-Asian writers. I mean, they don't teach Asian American writers in school. They just don't. Moving to New York changed everything. I mean, you see Asian faces, you meet Asian writers, Asian dancers, Asian artists, Asian hip-hop stars. I mean, what the fuck, Asian hip-hop stars?
It's deep, right?
Do you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? My poems kind of became more, not like stories, but more like focused. They had like arcs. Do you know what I mean? Like, instead of just like, like just all throwing it out there, it just sort of like suddenly took on a form where it moved, it breathed, it lived. Do you know what I mean? Like it had dimensions. All of a sudden, it's like it grew, then it like released, and then it like came back at you again, like pow.
Where do you get all these cool clothes from, man? This powder blue jacket and this love bracelet.
Compliment me,
And the Weibo belt.
The what belt?
The Weibo belt. That's the 80s thing, man. It's the 80s
thrift
thing.
store.
Yeah?
Yeah, I get all my clothes at the thrift store.
Really?
Yeah, pretty much, or they're given to me. Yeah. But I don't get the kind of hookups you do, I'm sorry.
Oh, whatever.
That farm's not calling me, you know?
They're not calling me neither.
The key to deaf poetry is writing poetry that is truth as you see it. What we're seeing and feeling on the show are poems that generate from people's lives and loves and passions. Deaf poetry is poetry that moves you.
So let me explain something. In the beginning was the word. You and I versed. Made atoms. Atoms split, made molecules. Refusing to be unprogressed, uninspired, unmoved. I mean, hieroglyphics to grasp. Blending language with math. Science and sound. Poetry. Consciousness abound. Now, who can deny this power of the word? For in the beginning was the word. Beowulf, the Black Power. Beatnik to Nas. Who can deny the freedom of spit when it's right there in front of your eyes? Deaf poets doing deaf things.
Has this ever happened to you? You work very, very hard on a paper for English Clash, and then get a very low grade, like a D, or even a D equals. And all because you are the liverwurst spoiler in the whale wide word.
What motivated you to leave the teaching profession and pursue poetry full time?
Well, for one thing, being a poet is a heck of a lot easier than being a teacher. I sometimes miss my students, but never before 10 a.m.
Yeah.
And I kept on having to beg time away from my students in order to fulfill my obligations as a professional poet. The single best indicator that the last year has been successful for me is that 6 people have considered becoming teachers.
Wow. Yeah.
6 people have come up to me and said, you know, because of your work, I think I'm going to be a teacher. So that, even if it's only 6 teachers, if they're 6 good teachers, that's fantastic.
That'd be fantastic.
That is a measure of my success.
There's people here from all types of perspectives, different places, experiences. I think it's enough for them to, touch everybody out there.
Cars turning into bars with one lamp and piles of discarded clothing, and I heard myself say no over and over. But he didn't hear me, wouldn't listen when he called me a whore, pinned me down, and took the only innocence I had left.
Describe for me the poetry that you did for the Deaf Poetry Jam.
That's not light.
Oh.
But that's okay.
People were feeling it. They were feeling it.
That actually is a really a hard piece for me to perform. I wrote it when I got back from Providence Nationals last year.
Yeah.
And it's all about my experiences as a young teenage girl and the pressures put on women to do whatever a man says. Like, you're told that, whether it's consciously or subconsciously, you're told that you're a sex object, you're a body. And, when I was given blowjobs when I was 14 years old, and it took me 11 years to even, be able to express that. And I'm trying to reach out, I guess, to the younger generation of female poets and say, you know what, man, it doesn't have to be this way. Yeah. You are beautiful, and there is no reason that any man should make you feel that way, ever. Yeah. And if he does, then just...
Yeah. And I was searching still for purity, lurking in hidden corners, hips swinging, lips pouting, and trading in shattered innocence for buried and brazen offerings. I learned how to control.
What's this thing I heard about you being quoted as saying that you are an international woman of mystery?
Well, see, not yet. Not yet, but when I'm a superstar and I'm flying all across the world, and everybody will go, I know that girl, I've seen her, I know the laugh, but what does she do again? And everybody will just know me.
Really?
Yeah, I'm going to be infamous.
Infamous.
Infamous, yes.
Rather than famous. Infamous.
Rather than famous. Well, who wants to be famous, dude? You can't go anywhere.
True, that's true.
You know?
True.
Infamous.
One of the things that I've found in doing research for the show and in preparing for it is that poetry's already made a comeback. Poetry is already out there. There are many people that are enjoying poetry shows at clubs and the venues in the various hometowns. There are many people writing poetry and more people performing poetry. I think what we're doing is trying to expose an already existing movement to a far larger television audience.
Hey, we're sitting here with Sarah Jones and Steve Coleman, staples on the poetry scene. Found love in the beauty of their words. Oh, deep.
It's a little saccharine up in here.
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
I want to hear a poem. I want to learn something I didn't know. I want to say yes at the end because I'm sick of saying so.
Every generation has something new to say, and I think that this is a generation, our generation, that's just kind of now coming into its own. For me, poetry is, I guess, primarily about the words and the way that you construct words and create, make language even more beautiful than it already is, and more meaningful, you know, and behind that is, for me, an attempt to create, community in a time where I think that's breaking down a little bit.
How has being around the world broadened your vision?
Well, I think both Steve and I can speak to this. I mean, my personal experience, I've been, lucky enough to perform at the United Nations for like this enormous conference on women's rights issues with, just people, I mean, Gwyneth Paltrow, everybody that's concerned. If you've ever loved a woman or if you came out of a woman's womb, you need to be concerned, And so whether I'm talking to people here who are from other places or traveling, I've learned that we all have to look in our own backyard. That includes the United States. That includes countries abroad, whether you're talking about the Taliban and what's happening to women there being killed, just for being women. And it's all over. It's every country, it's every continent. We all need to step up.
Your revolution will not happen between these thighs. Your revolution will not happen between these thighs. Your revolution will not happen between these thighs. Will not happen between these thighs. Will not happen between these thighs. The real revolution ain't about booty size.
I have a poem called Your Revolution. Yeah. Which is something that I wrote from my heart, basically just trying to speak back to certain lyrics that I was hearing in the music that I love and that I'm so committed to, which is hip-hop, and getting, just a little tired of, like I said, this kind of monotonous subject matter. It was like, all right, we understand. Yeah, you bling bling. Yeah, you got 50 hoes a night. Okay, right. You got so much ice, you blinded me. Okay, I heard that. Don't get me wrong. I'm still enamored of this culture, hip-hop culture, and I think that the poetry movement that we're a part of is like inextricably linked to that.
Your revolution will not happen between these thighs. Will not happen between these thighs. Will not be you shaking and me eventually faking between these thighs, because the revolution, when it finally comes, is going to be real.
What really makes me most excited about deaf poetry is that poetry that really speaks to the hearts and minds of young people today.
Life lay way to big things that sit on the head heavy, that some put in their back pockets and hide away with fake smiles. And soon them things dwell in the head like lint. But it ain't lint, and it makes its invisibility felt. When it ain't dealt with, bite you in the ass. We write poems to not get bit in the ass. We write poems to get out them thoughts that lay restless on the soul. Behind laughter when shit ain't funny. Behind smiles when one ain't happy. Them thoughts that eat at your spirit, fear its own existence. When you sit quietly on a train, on your way to work. Then, my dear, that's the essence of your brain at work. Yeah, poems. Poems. We write poems. Life's speech, rhymes, and tones.